Okay. Welcome back to our remotely kind of Thanksgiving-ish Scissors and Scrubs episode. We dug deep. We dug deep in these topics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think mine's a very important topic.
It is.
Yeah.
And mine deals with Indigenous people.
Yeah.
But that's about all it does.
But, I mean, it briefly touches
It's
on.
not really what many people want to hear about on Thanksgiving, but we're going to talk about
Yeah.
Hantavirus.
And choking.
Yay! Our favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to discuss about for Thanksgiving?
No, just that I love it, and it's my favorite day of the year.
No, I can't wait for stuffing and pie and pie.
I just
and
love
more
it.
pie.
I just love it.
I know. It's not my favorite.
Oh,
It's
it
such
is
a random Thursday.
I don't
and
care. It's literally
then
my
everybody-
except there's no football this year. There's no high school
know.
game.
I just wish though that we could enjoy Thanksgiving. And I was at Home Depot because we're recording this early, so it's not even Halloween yet.
Yeah.
And the fucking Christmas trees are already out.
Oh, I hate it.
Can we just have the turkey?
Yes. Black Friday, put out your Christmas shit. But
Right.
why do you do it before? You're ruining my holiday.
It ruins it for me.
Yes.
It does.
It's
It's
too
so
much.
fallish. I don't want to be thrown into winter like that.
No.
I don't like winter. It's not my
No.
favorite. It's my least favorite season.
Yes, mine too.
So, yes. So Thanksgiving should be interesting this year.
Yeah, it'll be different.
I have a lot of half-dead people coming to my house, and I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do the steps. It's going to be interesting.
That would be.
Okay. So, Hantavirus.
Can't wait to hear about
Have
this.
you heard about the Hantavirus?
I have
Do you
heard
remember
about
it? I remember this.
I remember it's something with mice.
Yes, and
Okay.
I remember this outbreak happening.
Mhm.
So I got my information from Death at the Corners from Discovery Magazine. It is you will make sense why it's called Death at the Corners.
I think I... Okay, go ahead.
It's very, very, very interesting. So on a Friday, May 14th, a 19-year-old Navajo kid is on his way to his fiance's funeral.
Oh,
He's
Jesus.
in the back of the truck with his parents and stuff.
Which we have said before, don't ride in the back of pickup.
Well, he's not in the back of the
Okay.
pickup. He's just
All
like
right.
hanging out like a king
All right.
cab.
Okay.
He's in a king cab.
Okay.
And he starts to struggle to breathe.
Okay.
He's traveling with his family, and they have to veer off the road 30 miles east of Gallup, New Mexico. Now, I used to travel nurse, and I've been to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and did an assignment. I've been to Gallup, New Mexico.
Oh.
I've been on the Navajo reservations. Barren.
Yes.
You leave Albuquerque, there is nothing but desert and scrub. It's insane. Though, I will say, it was one of the best travel assignments I ever did. I loved being down there. It's when you're from the East Coast and you're dropped in the middle of Albuquerque, New Mexico, you are in a culture shock.
Yeah.
I went to rodeos.
Oh.
I country danced, which was the best fun I've had in my life.
No, you did not.
I did because it's partner dancing. And so guys will just come up and be like, you want to dance? Because they literally want to dance.
Yeah.
And it's so much fucking fun. If you love to dance, it's so much fun.
They all dance.
None of that line shit. None of that line shit. I'm not doing the electric slide. We're spinning, 2-stepping, 3-stepping, flipping. It was so much fucking fun. Where there I show up with my Boston accent, and Levi's. I've never seen Wranglers in my life. They're all fucking Wrangler wearers and cowboy boots and hats. And I'm like, I'm not at Revere Beach anymore. That's for sure. So it's a cool part of the country. The rock formations, the people, it's like nothing on the East Coast. Let's just say that. It's different. I have to burp, excuse me. And there it is. Okay. So an ambulance is called, and the 19-year-old goes into cardiac arrest on his way to the ER.
Oh, my God.
And he's on his way to the Indian Medical Center in Gallup, New Mexico. He dies at the hospital in a chest x-ray. A checks, also known as a chest x-ray, shows his lungs are full of fluid. Everyone's shocked because other than flu-like symptoms that he had been having for a few days, he's a very healthy 19-year-old. He's a marathon runner. He's a cross-country track star.
Wow.
New Mexico requires unexplained deaths to be reported to the Office of Medical Investigations in Albuquerque. But because it's the Indian Medical Center, Indian territories, and I should say Native American, but it literally is called the Indian Medical Center. They are sovereign nations in the United States. So they rule and govern themselves. They don't. Federal law does not apply to them.
So they don't have to.
They don't have to report it, but for some reason they do. Okay.
Probably because it's like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
And all autopsies are performed in the lab of the Medical Investigation Units of Albuquerque. So you have Dr. Richard Malone. He's a 13-year veteran of, it's called the OMI, the Office of Medical Investigations. and he's assigned to the case. He's very familiar with the area and the Navajo community. He's grown up in the Four Corners area, which, if you don't know what the Four Corners area is, I believe it is Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. They meet. I've sat with my hands
in different states.
Yeah, all body parts in a different state.
There's a place in Malden that you can do that with. Malden, Melrose, Medford, and Stoneham, I think.
Oh, that's just way too cool.
The Four Corners.
Who doesn't want to be in Malden, Melrose, Stoneham, and I mean, all at once.
I mean, kind of the same thing.
I mean, I'd rather be in Chelsea. We'd be in Everett and Malden all at once.
Right. I mean, that's pretty close to the... that's
so
pretty close to Elm Street.
I had taken my mother out there, and she had never left Boston, and she's out there, and they have, like, random wild dogs that my mother's trying to feed.
No.
I'm like, Mom, that's like a dingo. He's going to eat you.
Right, it's like the coyotes here. I wouldn't go near him.
You can't feed him. And I have a picture of her feeding this fucking random dog, And then you have a lot of Native Americans selling all kinds of beautiful stuff. Yeah. And there's my mother trying to, like, bogging them down. I'm like, Mom, we've stolen everything from them. Could you just pay her the price she's asking for? Jesus Christ. You're raping them again. Like, come on. Like, give them what they fucking asked for. Yeah, no, she's going to try to get the money down.
Oh, God.
Okay, so Dr. Richard Malone, he's a 13-year veteran of the OMI, and he's assigned the case. And like I said, he's familiar with the area. He immediately realizes that he had a similar case at the same hospital about a month earlier. It was a 30-year-old woman with flu-like symptoms who had been rushed to the ER, unable to breathe. She also died suddenly, and when they looked at her lungs, they were, like, sodden, quote, sodden with fluid. They were triple the size they should be. And she is also a member of the Navajo Nation from the Four Corners area. Because both people had died in the Indian Medical Center, Malone had heard of them both. Otherwise, he may not have connected it because, like I said, they're a sovereign nation, and they don't have to report it.
Right.
So initially, the 30-year-old woman's death is listed as respiratory distress syndrome, which when people die of pneumonia, yes, you die of pneumonia, but pneumonia is not really what kills you. Something caused the pneumonia to happen. Something causes respiratory distress syndrome to happen. It doesn't tell you what the causing agent is, which can be brought on by anything like heart failure, massive infection, shock, pneumonia, etc. Patricia McFeely, she's a forensic pathologist. She does the autopsy on these people. And she finds that the lungs are not filled with pus, so pneumonia is ruled out. And she also finds that it's not a hemorrhagic thing. So the lungs aren't filled with blood. They're filled with yellowish plasma-like fluid.
Okay.
So Malone and McFeely, they start pouring over lab and test results, and they have no idea what's causing this. Now Malone, now they're starting an investigation. They're talking to the families, what happened. So Malone speaks to the parents of the 19-year-old, and they told him their son died on the way to his fiance's funeral. She had died 5 days prior with the exact same symptoms that he had died from. Malone was like, holy shit. And now he's hearing about this on the day of you know what? He didn't hear about it because she didn't die on the reservation. Or she did die on the reservation. That's what it was. So he doesn't hear about this case because she dies either in home, she's on the reservation, and they don't report it. He finds out 15 minutes before the funeral of the fiance. So he actually finds out on the day that the kid died and that they were on the way to the funeral. So now he's got to get an autopsy on this fiance. So he talks to McFeely and they both agree, you have to get an autopsy on this young lady.
Yeah.
So the Navajo community, they place major importance on funeral services in death and everything. They do a 4-day mourning period, and the deceased, you don't even mention their name. They're not spoken about for 4 days. And it's a very private, very closed-in thing. So he's like, the autopsy are discouraged, and they don't want to talk to white people. They don't want to, we're intruders. And I don't blame them.
Can you blame them?
So Malone, he's soft-spoken. He's a native of the Four Corners area, and he approaches the family and explains to them the urgency of this. We already have 2 cases. We need to find out what's going on. So the families, they're also concerned. They're like, absolutely, whatever you need, we'll postpone the funeral. You need to autopsy her. So they give the consent, and the bodies are brought to the lab, and the state health department is brought in at this point. They also contact Bruce Tempest. He is the chief of medicine at the Indian Medical Center, And he also knew of the 3 cases, and he knows of another one from November, that when he was called for more information on the case in Arizona, he's told of even another case that he had heard about. So now you're up to 5 people in the Four Corners area that have died from some mysterious flu-like symptoms and lungs full of fluid. So he thinks this could potentially be the plague, which we talked about in our Columbus Day episode. Because the plague is still seen today in the Southwest.
In that area,
yes. Right. So it's often seen in the Southwest, and because of all the desert rodents, they see this. They see cases of plague almost every spring and summertime because of all the water and the rain. It increases. But none of the victims test positive for the plague. They also crossed off anthrax, Legionnaires, and influenza.
Okay.
So now it's Tuesday, May 18th. New Mexico state health officials contact the CDC in Atlanta. So every time we do these diseases, I'm more impressed with the CDC.
Yeah.
It's fucking something.
They're crazy.
It's fucking something. And I always thought I wanted to be a forensic pathologist, but I'm thinking a microbiologist. Like, can you imagine discovering these diseases?
And wait, this is what it is.
All the shit they must see. We might have to do a podcast just on the CDC because they're something. So they bring in the CDC. And a huge investigation has begun where families are interviewed, homes are visited. They're collecting as much information. They're talking to the doctors they're grilling the doctors who took care of these patients. They're trying to gather as much information because the mortality rate is off the charts and they have no idea what's causing it. So May 24th, New Mexico Health Department sends a quote-unquote Dear Doctor letter to all the doctors in the state describing the illness, its high mortality rate, and that the disease is infectious and it's probably viral. How they know it's probably viral, I don't know, but this is what they do. They get in the DNA, RNA of the virus, and they can tell by symptoms. It's crazy. Over the next few weeks, a dozen more cases show up, mostly Navajos, but not all of them. The death rate remains extremely high. I think of like 10 cases, 2 people survived. National media gets a hold of this and the story, and they invade the Navajo people, totally disregarding the privacy and mourning periods for the Navajos. And it becomes known as the Navajo flu. So people who live among the Native Americans, there's a lot of racism against the Native Americans. I don't know why. I mean, I worked with them. I worked down in Albuquerque. You're mixing it's a mix of Navajos and Mexicans and Americans. I shouldn't say Americans, Caucasians, and it's different. It's very different. They're very, very business, very closed off people, and I can understand why. But for some reason, there's a lot of racism between all of these nationalities. So it becomes known as the Navajo flu, and a lot of this latent racism is coming through. So a group of Navajo children have their trip to California canceled because of this Navajo flu. They're not allowed to go.
Oh my God.
Navajo people are refused services in restaurants or meals. And if they are getting service, only the Navajo people are having their meals served with masks and gloves. Everybody else in the restaurant's fine, but they're going to serve them with masks and gloves.
Oh my God.
And now the Navajos are like, well, the tourists must have brought it in. Why else would we be getting this?
Right.
We've never had this before. So they, now because of all the media attention, because of all the racism, they stop at they will not help the investigators anymore. They have shut down Navajo Nation. They're not dealing with it. So they stop working with investigators because of the stigma and the intrusion into their lives. And within a month, the Anglo and Hispanic victims start showing up. So now they're realizing it's not just a Navajo disease. Yeah. By late May, relatives of the initial Navajo couple, the 19-year-old and the fiance, they come down with the same symptoms, flu-like symptoms. They live in the same house as those who died, but they survive. For some reason, they survive the illness. May 22nd, a lab tech who helps on the autopsies gets sick, but he also recovers. The medical community is now freaked out. And Memorial Day weekend, a huge task force, 40 people from CDC, the infectious disease and toxicology, and the doctors who treat the victims are all, they all get together and they're pooling all their info the whole weekend. They are brainstorming what the fuck is going on here. Something bad's going on. I gotta catch my breath. Okay. So after the meeting, this Dr. Merlin goes into his lab and he starts looking at all the autopsy slides. And he determines it's an intracellular pathogen, which means the pathogen invades the cell. And that's how it's entering the host. It actually gets into the host cell and starts wreaking havoc. He prepares slides to send to the CDC's Special Pathogen Branch, which they describe as the Marine Corps of Infectious Disease.
Yeah.
So you know they're fucking badasses
Oh, yeah.
if they're known as the Marine Corps of Infectious Diseases. So they're realizing that the lungs are suffering capillary leaks, which is a leak. So if it was hemorrhagic, the lungs would be filled with blood because the capillaries would be leaking blood, but they're not. They're leaking plasma into the lungs.
So bizarre.
It's very, very bizarre.
Yeah. These viruses, I'm telling you, man,
it's
they're
crazy.
so smart.
It's
like,
crazy. It's scary. It's actually very scary.
I would say my friends were here the other night, we were talking, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, with, COVID. And I'm like, well, it had to have mutated, blah, 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 blah. It's like a different disease now. And I mean, not different, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're talking. And they're like, but how did, I'm like, I know it sounds stupid, but viruses are smart. Like, they just know, like, okay, if I do this,
they know
we'll
how
get
to
them
survive.
this way. Like, they know how to survive.
There's a reason the plague's been around since the dawn of day.
It sounds stupid, but viruses are so smart.
They are. So are bacteria.
Yeah.
Bacteria figure it out. Yeah. Okay, so the fluid is filling the air sacs in the lungs, and it's blocking out O2, and the patient's suffocating. Notorious viruses for this are the Africa's Marburg disease, Ebola, Lassa virus, and the Asia hantaviruses. Okay. The problem with this is that these viruses are not in North America, and none of the victims have traveled out of the Four Corners area. They think it's a new virus. They test samples of RNA and DNA, antibodies, and they discover it is a new form of hantavirus.
Okay.
So, hantaviruses are well known in Asia and Europe and are caused by rodents. Certain rodents carry certain types of hantavirus. And the virus does not hurt the rodent, but it infects humans and it kills. Well, in Asia, the hantavirus does not really... It will eventually kill them. It goes in, but they have hemorrhagic issues and it shuts the kidneys down in the Asia virus. They've never seen this response to a hantavirus. So North American rodents carry it, but it had never been transferred to humans. And I forgot to write this down, but there is a scientist who did say, you've got to watch this because it's got the potential to spread to humans and wreak havoc.
Okay.
And everybody ignored him. So all known hantaviruses cause bleeding and kidney failure and not flooding in the lungs. So this is a new native hantavirus. They contact this Carl M. Johnson, who's a retired infectious disease specialist who discovered the Asian hantaviruses. Now, this article goes on and on about Carl, like on and on. And he basically, in the 70s, he goes over to Korea. I mean, hantavirus, I believe, is a Korean word for hantavirus, or I forgot what it means. I literally had to skim it. I couldn't do it anymore. But it goes on and on about this guy single-handedly was like, this is the hantavirus. This is what it's doing. It was in Asia. He labeled. He took care of it.
Okay.
So they call this guy at a retirement. He's up there kicking his heels back in gorgeous Montana. He flies down to New Mexico. Okay. He says he has never seen anything like this. It is worse than any other hantavirus he has seen. Mm. And once it's determined to be hantavirus, the CDC and everybody else realizes it's the fucking rats and the mice that are bringing this in. So they head out and they set out traps in the Four Corners area, especially around the homes of those infected. 100 traps, 10 inside, 90 outside.
Oh, my
God. Over 2 months, 1,900 rodents are dissected with 10,000 vials of blood being collected. 19. Imagine how many fucking rights. Oh, I can't.
Oh, that's just what they caught. Like,
yes.
Oh.
Yep. Oh. So by June 18th, after weeks of work, 12 of the first 42 rodents had hantavirus. All 12 were the same species, the common deer mouse, which they describe as your typical storybook mouse. Cute with his little brown ears.
No, mice are cute. I don't care what she said.
All right. Mice are cute. Why do I know?
Disgusting.
Because my cats have left me hundreds of them. They're awful cute. I don't want them in my house. I don't want them in my food.
I've told you the story, right?
You'd move.
About Mike when we lived in Malden. I'm pretty sure I've told this, but whatever. There was literally, he was doing something. He comes into the room. He's like, so I just saw a mouse. I'm like, what? He's like, I just saw a mouse. And we had a 2-family. We lived on the 2nd and 3rd floors. And I'm like, where? And he's like, it was in one of the kids' like toy trucks or something. Oh. And I was like,
it's going for a ride.
What? And I'm pregnant with Sam and Jack's like 1.5. I literally go upstairs. I called we have a timeshare. I call the timeshare place. I'm like, do you have an opening like up in Maine? They're like, yep. I'm like, great. I'll be there tonight. I pack my bag. I pack Jack's bag. I'm like, you need to call an exterminator and get this shit taken care of, but I'm not coming home till it is. And I leave and I go to Maine. I cannot.
Meanwhile, I've had my cats dump dead mice in my bed.
No.
My bed while I was sleeping. I almost had a shit fit.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot. And he's like, Laura, the guy came and he was like, there's like no droppings, nothing. He's like, I think it was like a freak mouse that got into
He came in on the car.
I was like, I cannot live there.
I've learned to harmonize with them because I have a Fieldstone foundation. They get in all the fucking time. And some of you like, I saw a mouse. I'm like, give it a day. The cats will leave it dead somewhere in the house. And it's in the kitchen or it'll be in the dining room. I can't.
No.
And I've had it with the mice. I don't have like a mouse problem. They're not eating all the food in my house. But in the wintertime, like it's getting cold, there'll be a dead mouse somewhere in my house. Hopefully not in my bed this time because my cats are killers.
I can't. We moved in here and I was like, we have all these things like so the mice won't come. Like I'm petrified of a mouse in my house. Never mind. 19.
Look at
what did you say? 1900.
1900.
I can't.
And not just rodents, which means mice, pack rats. Like if you've ever, my girlfriend just moved to Arizona and she's like, I have pack rats in the attic. I'm like, well, you need to move. Set the place afire and get on a...
I didn't even know
I
that
wouldn't
was
live
an
in
actual
Arizona.
thing. I thought people just said, oh, you're a pack rat.
And they literally steal shit and they make their burrows out of it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Why would I not move to Arizona? Pack rats, scorpions, snakes, fucking gigantic spiders, killer bees.
I can deal with the snakes and the spiders.
Nope.
Cannot deal with the rodents.
Nope. None of it. None of it. I don't like critters. I'm going to all encompass. I don't like critters. All right? Okay. No critters. I like furry little pets, like dogs and cats. Nothing. I don't like birds. I don't like critters. People with birds in the house disturb me.
It means death.
It's disturbing. You know it's disturbing. It freaks the shit out of me. Okay, so the common deer mouse.
Sorry.
He's awful, very cute.
Not cute.
Very, very cute. Little storybook mouse. Little deer mouse. So 30% of the tested deer mice had Hantavirus. And as soon as this is discovered, residents are advised to mouse-proof their homes. Now, if you've ever been out to the reservations, it's not the best quality of living that these people are living in. They deserve so much better than what they have. It's like, they're almost like mobile homes, and I mean, you can see how the mice would get in on a regular basis. Not everybody's a great housekeeper, so the mice are getting in. So they're also, you're going to love this part.
Oh, God.
So if the mice are inside and you trap them, you're to douse the corpse of the mouse in bleach so that he doesn't then transmit the Hantavirus.
You want me to pour bleach over the dead mice?
Yes, and don't pick them up with your hands.
I'm not touching the goddamn... I'm burning the house down if there's dead mice bodies in it.
Yep, so you're going to have to pick him up with like
a tong.
And he has to be in bleach. Bleach him out.
I wouldn't be living
fucker
there.
Out.
I wouldn't be living there.
Yep. Nope. Okay. So what happened? What happened? Laura?
What happened? How did this start?
Well, that year, the Four Corners had an abundance of wet weather.
Of course.
Which created an abundance of seeds, nuts, berries, and insects. All this created an abundance of deer mice. So when the Navajos hear this, I did have another article. It's called The Oral Tradition of Navajo. So obviously, they're very big into oral traditions. When they hear this, they recall that in 1918 and in 1933, they had similar outbreaks of this kind of a virus. And in those years, they also had floods, excessive rains. So the Navajos, their traditions, like when you get into the Native American traditions, everything makes sense. They have a tradition that mice and people stay separate. They come from different worlds and never the two shall meet. They don't trust mice.
I agree.
So they know. They knew back then.
Preach.
They don't like mice. No, they knew. So the Hantavirus becomes known as HPS in the United States for Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome.
Okay.
And by October, 60 cases of the virus were confirmed in California, Texas, Louisiana, Idaho, Nevada, the Dakotas, and Montana.
Wow.
Of the 40 confirmed cases, 25 of them died. So it has a huge mortality rate. Way more than COVID. Huge mortality rate. Currently, there is no cure for the Hantavirus.
Wow.
Or vaccine for the Hantavirus. If infected people get early treatment, they do better. So what is HPS? And I think I just literally put the sheet aside that I'm supposed to read from.
I saw you put it away.
Well, I don't know. I was like, why am I holding on to this sheet? Well, let me tell you why. So Hantavirus, your early symptoms are fatigue, fever, muscle aches, and large muscle groups like your thighs, your hips, and your back. You get headaches, dizziness, chills, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Like everything else.
Late symptoms are cough, shortness of breath, and it has a death mortality rate of 38%.
Oh.
So your risk factors for Hantavirus. It's greater for people who work, live, or play in spaces where rodents live, which I don't like to do on a regular basis. Factors and activities that include risk are opening and cleaning long unused buildings or sheds, house cleaning, particularly in attics or other low traffic areas. Another reason not to house clean. Having a home or workspace infested with rodents. Another no-no.
I can't.
So I'm going to get Hantavirus this summer, you watch.
You might get Hantavirus.
Having a job that involves exposure to rodents, such as construction, utility work, and pest control. Thank God we don't have that job. The kind of rodents we deal with are human.
Yes, I could not deal with the actual rodents.
And you don't want to do a lot of camping, hiking, or hunting, because you might get Hantavirus.
I don't want to do those anyways.
I hear you. Okay. Prevention of Hantavirus. Keeping rodents out of your house. Fucking shocker.
I've been preventing Hantavirus since
she literally has all kinds of like those little things that
we have to unplug.
I'll just tell you. So you don't hear them
he
on the
literally
podcast.
came and unplugged this when we started recording.
Like there's literally like death to rodents everywhere. It's crazy.
Petrified of it.
It's pretty funny. Pretty fucking funny. Yeah, we have to unplug all the ultrasound rodent. I'm looking at it. It's sitting right next to our computer. Yeah. Okay, so you want to block access. You want to make sure that they can't squeeze through any holes. So
mice, they have like no spines.
Yes, they can squeeze through a hole as about 1/4 inch, which is 6 millimeters wide.
1/4 inch.
Quarter of an inch.
It was small.
You want to seal holes with wire screening, metal flashing, or cement. Or that new product that I've been watching pitched on TV, which is some kind of like, Flexaseal. It's like, fill up your holes with Flexaseal.
Oh.
And they show this mouse and he tries to go in the hole and you just get, please. It's so fucking ridiculous. They'll just find another way.
Yeah.
Close the food buffet, Laura. Close the fucking food buffet.
I do.
What is a food buffet? You wash your dishes promptly, clean counters and floors, and store your food, including pet food. I have my pet food in like plastic containers. You can see where the mice have eaten the sides of it, trying to get in.
Oh my god! I can't.
In rodent-proof containers using tight-fitting lids on garbage cans. Reduce nesting materials, clear brush, grass, and junk away from the building's foundation. And set traps. Spring-loaded traps should be set along baseboards. Exercise caution while using poison bait traps, as the poison can also harm people and pets. So I get mice in the attic all the time, and we have these bait traps that are like little circles. Once in a blue moon, you can hear them flipping the bait trap and eating it while I'm sleeping. It's a good time.
I make him line the walls in the basement with traps because I'm petrified of mice.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. Okay, so safe cleaning procedures for rodents, in case anybody really needs to know this.
Please.
You can say you learned it on Scissors and Scrubs. Wet down dead rodents in areas where rodents have been with alcohol, household disinfectants, or bleach. So if you've got a dead mouse, hit him with some bleach. Bleach kills everything. Yeah. And then wet down wherever you think he may have been with bleach.
Just take it. I would literally light my house on fire with bleach.
With bleach. This kills the virus and helps prevent infected dust from being stirred up in the air. Because Hantavirus, I didn't say, it's spread through. They shed. That's another. I hate when they say this.
I hate shedding.
You're shedding the virus. You shed the virus in urine and feces.
I was going to say it was in their poop,
saliva.
Wasn't it in
it's
their poop?
Feces and saliva. Yeah. So what happens is if you have mice droppings or mice pee in your house and you're sweeping it, it becomes aerosolized and you breathe it in. So I guess I should have mentioned that. I forgot to tell
God, don't sweep mice poop. Don't sweep mice poop.
Basically sweep with bleach. Once everything is wet, use a damp towel to pick up the contaminated material, also known as the rodent carcass. Then mop or sponge the area with disinfectant. Take special precautions such as wearing a respirator when cleaning buildings with heavy rodent infestations. Now, I have to say, this is not just something you should do because of Hantavirus. rodents carry every kind of fucking virus in the world.
Like the plague.
Like the plague. Like, no, those mosquitoes and malaria, but like the plague, Hantavirus. It just carries...
They carry everything.
All kinds of shit. They're nasty, disgusting fucking creatures that between them and mosquitoes, I don't know why they're on Earth. I think it's
to kill us.
The devil's way of just torturing
us.
So that is my story on Hantavirus, which covered the indigenous people of America, which kind of remotely ties us to Thanksgiving.
Nice touch.
I was fascinated by it. I was really excited about talking about it because I had heard about it. I remember this outbreak. But, you know, when in your 20s, you have listening to anything in the news because you don't give a shit.
I literally remember, like, people were dying because of mouse poop.
Yes.
Like, that's what
Yes. But, and I remember it being the Native Americans.
Yes.
So, that is the Hantavirus.
That is terrible and terrifying. And now I don't seem so crazy about mice.
You're all your little assorted things going on.
Mike is looking at me like, no, you're still crazy. I'm insane about it.
Oh my God, it cracks me up.
Insane about it.
Well, I don't want them in my house, but that's why I have 2 cats.
I can't live. I'm
telling you, those fuckers, they kill everything in that house. Yesterday was a snake. 2 days ago was a chipmunk. I get birds. I had a bird a couple of days ago. Max has been on a mission. And then I'm reading, somebody wrote, they want me to go to a seminar on the dangers of free-range cats.
They want you to go on? Who? A neighbor?
Somebody else. Dangers of free-range cats because they're killing all of the wildlife and everything. If we didn't have cats killing mice, do you know how many fucking mice we would have?
Yeah, you should drop all the dead bodies at that person's house.
No shit, and chipmunks would eat everything you have. We'd have no food. Like, people, this is the food chain.
Yeah.
Cats kill rodents. That's why they live near us. That's how it all came to happen, because we didn't want them, we didn't want the rodents eating all our shit, so we have cats. I can't. People are out of control these days with the shit they're worried about. Okay, so anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I can't stop gagging. But now I'm going to talk about choking. I can't. It's so gross. Do you see my eyes darting around this room where
looking for mice?
I'm staring for
Hantavirus.
It's not even the Hantavirus. It's just this talking of
We're all going to die of the plague right here in Malden.
I'm not going to be able to sleep under night. I hear something to the walls. Get up.
I told you when I was watching that Verminators, and then I thought there was a mouse in the bed, and Brian was like, we're done here. Because I watch weird shit because it intrigues me. Not mice. Choking, when I was in EMT, we would get the random choking call, and I would pray the whole time over there, please let this be fixed before I get there, because it terrifies me.
It terrifies me. Like, I know I sound crazy about the mice, but choking terrifies me, and it's probably because my mother chokes on air, and my youngest son is a replica of my mother in every way possible.
Choking is hard to fix.
Choking is very hard to fix.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying when it happens in front. It's one of the scariest things. So anyways, choking. I got this from, I can't believe I always write this stuff down.
You're the one who's on me. And I was the very good student today.
Oh, wait.
I cited all my sources. Thank you very much.
I got choking from grandparents.com, WNCN.
I didn't know there was a fucking website.
WNCN.com, NSC.com, .org, WebMD.com, and FamilyEducation.com.
Oh, you really got around.
Yeah.
Slut.
I am. So choking is the stoppage of airflow into the lungs. Choking prevents breathing, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I kind of figured that when they all turn blue and red and then pass out.
It can be partial, which allows some inadequate airflow, or complete, which leads to asphyxia, then anoxia, and then possibly death. Choking is the leading cause of death in kids. 1 child dies every 5 days from choking.
Really?
Yes.
That's pretty high.
Yeah. It's a leading cause of death in people over 65 years old.
I believe that. My aunt choked tonight.
Yep.
We were on the way over here, my aunt's living with us, and I love her dearly, but she's 90, and she's living with us, and she always kind of chokes. She's got like a stricture, so we're like maybe halfway here, and I get a call from my daughter, and she's like, so Auntie told me she has to throw up, so I went upstairs.
So she might be dead, or she might be gone.
And I get it. I shouldn't, I don't, my aunt is very independent, and I know this happens to her, and I was like, well, you can't just go upstairs, she's choking, you have to make sure she's all right, like, just go downstairs and make sure she's breathing. I know what it is, and I know she's going to clear it on her own.
Right.
And then I talked to my aunt, she's like, fine. But my daughter she's clearly not going to be a nurse.
No.
She was getting ready to choke and throw up, so I went upstairs. Oh, okay, thanks.
But I'm letting you know,
Thanks
even though you're not near her.
help me out here. Yeah.
The most at-risk age group is, take a guess.
45.
55 to 74.
Oh, I was only 10 years off.
And that's probably because they get embarrassed. So
Yes.
you're out to eat.
Yes.
You get something stuck in your throat. You're like, oh, shit. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm in a restaurant. They get up. They go to the bathroom. And they then choke to death by themselves. A choking death occurs every 2 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really high.
Yes. Choking causes over 100,000 ER visits a year.
I believe that.
More people die from choking than die in fires, carbon monoxide poisoning, drowning, or accidental shootings.
Well, that's because we're all shoving food in our face all the time.
Yep. Most choking deaths are caused by food. I don't. I mean, there's other objects people choke on.
Well, yes, like pennies and fucking watches and shit. We see it all the time.
Yeah. Candy.
Not watches, but watch batteries.
Candy and coins make up 37% of ER visits for choking for kids 1 to 4 years old.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Choking is the 4th leading cause of unintentional injury death. Page flip. There is an uptick of choking seen around the holidays, involving lots of food and alcohol, especially Thanksgiving.
Bum, bum, bum. That's all those turkey bones.
Mm-hmm. Choking kills 2,500 Americans a year.
Oof. Maybe we should give up Thanksgiving.
I know. Conditions that increase your risk of choking are dysphagia, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, asthma, cerebral palsy, Huntington disease, swallowing difficulties, stroke, brain injuries, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, Parkinson's, GERD, esophagitis, esophageal tumors, neurological disorders, living alone, indentures. So most of those things are like muscular.
I love these indentures.
You can't chew the shit. So most of those, though, are like muscular degenerative diseases that you can no longer control your muscles.
Your muscles are weak or your muscles are gone or whatever.
Living alone, you just don't have help getting the food up. The 4 most common choking hazards for adults are 1, putting too much food in your mouth at a time.
I literally do that all the time. I'm so like,
have you seen me?
Dude, I fucking love food.
I
inhale.
So
if it's something I really like, I don't know if it's from having 2 older brothers where you wouldn't get any of them, but I would like shovel it in my face. I can't get enough.
Inhale my food. We were out to brunch the other weekend. My mother, myself, my youngest, and my nephew. And we're sitting there, and Sam and I both got the huevos rancheros, which were delicious at Nobility Hill. Delish. Go get it. Anyways, I was like, oh my God, this is delicious. The waitress literally came right back by. My plate was empty. And she's like, oh, can I take that? I'm like, yep. And my mother's like, she didn't like it at all, obviously. I'm like, I can't help it. It was so good. I just inhaled it.
When I had been dating Brian, I think we ate the entire crustacean population up and down the East Coast. We had gone to dinner. We get lobsters and steamers. My fucking favorite meal in the world. He hadn't even touched his steamers. I was through my pint of steamers and I had already eaten my lobster. And he was like, baby, you can eat. I said, you know what? Shut your fucking mouth. I said, you can say anything about me, but I don't need you to tell me I can eat. You say, baby, what a great job. Yeah. Never tell me, baby, you can eat. Not words a woman needs to hear. I know I can. I know. So shut up.
Yeah. All right. Got it. But like people put big handfuls of popcorn, nuts, grapes. You put them all in your mouth at the same time. Like you can't take big handfuls of food in your mouth at the same time. The second most common choking hazard for adults are foods with small diameters that can clog your airway. Grapes.
Yes.
Popcorn. A larger nut. Like things like that.
That sounds dirty.
Yeah, I know. The third is chewy, dry, or viscous textured foods like peanut butter, bagels, dry chicken, or turkey. Hence Thanksgiving. Chicken is a huge choking.
Chicken, we get them all the time in the operating room. People who have eaten chicken and you're there literally 6 hours and you know how picking chicken, out like, half-digested chicken.
Picture when you cut open a chicken breast and it's like...
shredded.
It shreds.
It's striated.
So it's striated. Yes, good job. That's what I was going for. you pull it out in the little
Striation at a
striations, like it's every striation of a chicken breast.
And it's only some 80-year-old woman who's got 5 pounds of striated chicken in her esophagus.
It takes forever.
That you pull off for
It's
6
awful.
hours. It's disgusting. And it smells. It's like the throat packs. You ever do the bad taste when the throat pack comes out? I'm always like, because it smells nasty.
I once did a food impaction choking person. An emergency. I think we were in there for 3 or 4 hours. Usually they're relatively quick. It was 3 or 4 hours. And the person had eaten kale.
Oh!
When I tell you.
That's green chicken is all it is.
There was section. I'm gagging. There was section containers just lined up of like green stomach content kale for hours.
One of the
coming up.
grossest I had seen was we were doing a thoracotomy. A guy had eaten a chicken nugget, and a nugget and a biscuit and a nugget, biscuit. He had eaten the chicken nugget. It stuck in his esophagus, and then he retched till he tore a hole in his esophagus. So when we went in with the scope,
chicken nugget,
the surgeon popped the nugget into the stomach, and it was like green and moldy. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. And then we had to do open chest surgery to fix this guy's fucking torn esophagus over
choking is no joke.
Chicken nugget.
Right. No joke.
No. Nugget,
biscuit,
nugget and a biscuit.
And the 4th most common choking hazard for adults is big bites of food like steak or stack sandwiches. Like, you get those big, huge, like Monte Cristo type sandwiches. Reuben's. Any sandwich my husband likes. You can't take big bites of food like that because you cannot chew it all.
You should see me try to eat an Italian sub. My favorite subs in the whole wide world. I'm the same way.
Eating too fast, not chewing thoroughly, and swallowing large pieces of food explain most choking cases. So slow it down and chew well. The top 9 choking foods are... What do you think number 1 is?
Turkey.
Hot dogs.
Oh, yep.
Hot dogs. And
hot
the
dogs
number
are the most
one
vile food in the world that tastes good.
They're so good, though.
They're so good with onions and mustard. Oh my
so
God.
good.
But God even knows what's in
I don't know what's in them, but I want to know. It's the number 1 food kids choke on. You should cut them lengthwise and then cut into small, irregular pieces. When I tell you I was insane about cutting the hot dogs.
Level hot dogs.
Oh my God. It was like, looked like mush by the time I was done cutting them up for them. I'm like, you are not allowed to bite
what
that.
Was in your hot dog. Yeah, I'm good.
I could, cut it lengthwise, then cut it into weird little shapes because if they take a bite of that piece of that circular, it will completely cut off the airway. Carrots.
Oh, I don't
are very high choking food.
I fucking hate carrots.
Shred them or cook them until they are mushy enough. Like, when you cook them and put butter on them, like they're mushy enough when you chew them that they could get by your airway. Apples.
Yeah, I see that.
Chop into very small pieces or again, cook until mushy. Sam, my youngest son, chokes a lot. He likes to scare me to death. He's had the Heimlich performed a couple times.
Has he really?
Oh yeah. And when he was a baby, I was home with him alone. Jack must have been in preschool and Mike was at work. And he's eating and he had apples. And now I chop up the apple because again, I'm a nutbag. My mother has choked my whole life. I am a nut with choking. The apples were cut into little teeny pieces. He sticks a piece in his mouth and he's looking at me and looking at me and looking at me. And I'm like, he's choking. But he's too little to tell me he's choking. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's just looking at me and I'm like, he's not breathing. And he's churning color. I'm like, he's going to get it up.
Stroke.
He's going to get it up. Because I know that babies have like this.
They have a way of getting
They have a mechanism to clear their airway sometimes.
Yeah, I would stare at them until they
I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's going to get it up. I'm going to give him 10 more seconds. And then I count to 10. I'm like, I'm going to give him 10 more. And I count to 10.
But I'll just give him a few more seconds.
And he finally was not getting it up. I grabbed him out of the chair and threw him upside down. The apple came out and I was like, oh my God. He wasn't allowed to have those ever again.
Maybe that's why my kids eat nothing but... Garrett used to choke on munchkins because he'd put 80
too much in his mouth.
Yeah. And then have to reach over and pull that sloppy mass of fucking
my sister, I remember, I can't remember if it was Brendan or Karen. One of the twins had some like munchkins or something. We were on Peaks Island. So you're on the island. You got to get mid-flighted over to Portland. You're screwed. And he's choking like nothing's coming out, and he's standing there, and she stuck her fingers in his mouth and just pulled out. I don't remember what it was, bread, whatever it was. It was all, I was like, oh my God, it was
The
disgusting.
things you do for your kids. Because
I
I
know.
wouldn't pull it out of my own mouth.
I know.
But I'm like reaching by while I'm driving, like scooping out
Yeah.
chocolate munchkin. I'm like, really?
Ugh.
You don't know put one at a time?
I know.
You dumbass.
I know.
Use 3. What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? Grapes. Grapes are
are a
a
big one.
huge choking food. Always cut them in half. And if they're
Quarters.
seed, yeah, I wouldn't just cut them.
Who buys seeded grapes anymore, anyway?
I have no idea.
That's
always
just
seedless.
a nuisance.
If they have seeds, take the seeds out. But I always cut them in half, and then again I would quarter them. Nuts, the shape and size make them very dangerous for young kids. So just avoid, like, don't give them a whole
give my kids
walnut or
nuts.
whatever. Like, it's just, why would you do that?
Here's a couple of cashews, kid. Go to
Yeah,
town.
knock yourself out. Peanut butter.
Yeah, because peanut butter is very
It's like that viscous.
pasty.
Always spread it in a thin layer and serve with a drink. Like, always make sure you have a glass of milk or something for them.
PB&J.
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows.
never
It's like a
thought-
munchkin.
I know, but I just didn't think it. Soft foods like these are easily lodged into small child's airway.
Yeah.
So
I
cut them
believe
up
it.
again.
Get the minis.
Gum and hard candy. Kids can inhale these when laughing or fooling or taking a deep breath or trying to swallow them whole.
Well, that's where lifesavers came from, Laura.
Yeah, well, I got another story for you.
Oh.
My darling Sam.
Well,
We
when
were
the children
driving.
a lifesaver.
We were driving my.
But could he breathe?
Nope. It must have lodged like with the up. You know what I mean? Like with the hole facing the wrong way. He could not breathe. We're driving my
Jesus
sister.
Christ, Sam.
He kills me. Still to this day, I'm like, he's gonna choke to death. We're driving my sister and her family to the airport, and we had gone to Jack's school. I don't remember why I needed to drop something off. The secretary had lifesavers on her desk, and she said, "Can he have one?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't give him those." And she's like, "Oh,
They're lifesavers. They
They're
have
li-
holes
it's
in them,
fine.
so
I'm
they'll
like-
breathe.
okay, fine." So he takes one, and we're leaving the office, and I said, "You're not to eat that. Like, you cannot eat that. I'll break it up for you." And okay. So then we get in the car, we pick up my sister's family, we're driving her 3 kids, her husband to the airport. We get to East Boston, where the airport is, and I hear like that crinkle of the
Oh,
plastic.
you know what's coming.
And I turn, and I'm like, "Did you just put that in your mouth?" And he looks at me and nods his head, and like, "Chew it." Like he's like 3. Chew it.
He was the cutest 3-year-old.
He was the
though. I'm
cutest
not
little
gonna
thing
lie.
I
He
can't
was-
stand. That's why
so
she probably
fucking
gave him
cute.
candy in the first place.
Right.
And he looks at me. And then I hear this sound. And I was like, he's choking on that. And I turn around. He is looking at me like his eyes are bugging out of his head. I'm like, he's choking on that. I'm like, "Is that in your throat?" And he's just nodding. He can't talk. We're literally pulling into the parking lot at the airport. My sister's husband at the time, thank God, was sitting in the back with all the kids, like in the van.
He
And
was
he's
a firefighter, right?
Yes, and he's this big, huge guy. I don't even know how he was fitting back there. Before we could even pull over, when I realized he was choking, he had him out of the car seat, because he's in a car seat, and he's out of the car, giving him the Heimlich maneuver. And I'm telling you, I couldn't even get out of the passenger
Because you're
seat.
shaking to
Because
death.
I'm like, he's going to die.
Yeah.
And I get out, I get around the car, I walk over. I'm not even running, because I'm like, I can't even look. I get around the car, and he's still standing there, and he just kept saying, like, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." And I know he wasn't panicking on the outside, but I know on the inside he
terrified.
was, because he just kept saying, "You'll be okay." I think he was telling himself, like, "You'll be okay." And he's giving him the Heimlich, he's hitting his back, he's hitting his chest, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's not coming out. It's not coming out." It was not coming out. It had to be about a minute and a half or 2 minutes, which seemed like
A lifetime.
an hour. I was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna become unconscious, and we're gonna have to do CPR." And he, thank God, it finally came flying out of his mouth, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And he was like looking at me.
I
He's
would
like,
have immediately driven to that secretary, and I would have beaten the shit out of
I
her.
well, it was
Don't
my fault. I should
fucking
have just
give it to
said
him.
no, but I told him, "Don't you dare eat that."
Yeah.
But he did, because he's Sam.
'Cause he's
And I was
3.
like, "Oh my God!" We then go into the airport. I get them all to the thing. We get back. I am shaking
Yeah.
like the whole
That's
time.
scary.
And my sister had called after, and she goes, "We were sitting there for a half hour waiting for the flight." And she goes, and her husband had looked over and goes, "He almost just died." And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, he really almost just died. Like, that was a long time, And I was like, this fucking kid. So don't give him lifesavers. Don't give him hot candy. It's
terrifying.
It's terrible.
It's
It is the
terrifying.
worst feeling, because
Yeah.
you know it's there. You know where it is,
Right.
and you can't get it out.
I'm telling you, professionally trained We would go to houses. One kid was like 2 years old, choking on penny.
Mm-hmm.
And when you went to the home, there was change all over the floor. Why would you have change on the floor when you have a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
I probably could have bought a house with how much shit was on the floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you
They could
people?
die.
Yeah,
They could
the
die.
kid swallowed penny. Thank God the fire department got there first, and because I was like shaking by the time I'm like, well, I'm never gonna be able to fix
It's
this.
terrifying to think of.
Yep, because you can't always fix it,
No.
and you're gonna watch somebody die in front of you.
And that's the thing. You're trying your hardest, and you sometimes cannot get it out. Anyways, gum and hard candy. Do not give it to children. Even lifesavers.
Even though they're called lifesavers,
Right?
They're
Obviously, it does not
anybody's
save
life.
anybody's life. Popcorn. The size and shape make it easy to choke on. So more frequent than choking, like obstructing your airway, is when food becomes impacted in your esophagus. Like that's what we're talking about when people come in and we take the chicken out and the kale and all that stuff out. It is not technically choking since you can breathe. It is very uncomfortable though. If you can try and drink something to try to move it down.
Because I mean, for those who don't know, your esophagus and your trachea clearly different tubes. So even though your esophagus may be jammed full of food, your trachea should be wide open.
You can still breathe, but you cannot swallow. So then the problem is
terrifying.
It's scary as hell. It hurts. Like, have you ever had something? It kills.
And then saliva is pouring out of your mouth because it has nowhere to go. You
can't swallow your saliva. Then you end up choking on your saliva. It's a terrible, terrible situation. So if you can try and drink something to move it down. If you can't move it down or are unable to swallow the drink or are drooling because you can't even swallow your saliva, you need to go to the emergency room.
Usually the drooling is how some parents realize the kids are even choking on something, because all of a sudden they're like, my kid's drooling all the time, and there'll be a watch battery in there or a quarter.
Because you don't see them do it because it's so fast.
Right. Because kids are sneaky.
Right. But even as an adult, like if you're drooling, you can't swallow a drink, you need to get to the ER. They can give you glucagon, which can relax the esophagus and it allows the food to pass.
Which they also use in lap colis all the time.
Yes.
Give the glucagon.
Glucagon can make you vomit. So you could vomit the food up. But either way, it will move the food. If it is still stuck after the glucagon, you're buying yourself an endoscopy. So that's when you're coming to us and we're pulling the chicken out
for 6
striation
hours.
by striation.
Nasty kale.
Oh, God.
Who eats kale anyway? It's just not that good.
I mean, if it's
I've tried it in the chips. No, it's like chewing. I don't know, like a rawhide, like those little chewies the dogs used to get. I hate it.
I mean, if it has enough dressing on it.
No, I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Okay.
I've tried chips. I've tried salad. I can't do it. I've even tried kale and sausage soup. Can't do it.
No, I don't mind it in a soup.
I just don't like kale and eggs. I do not like it, Sam. I am. God.
So, if someone or yourself are choking, time is of the essence.
Bum, bum, bum.
With no oxygen for 0 to 4 minutes, brain damage is unlikely but can occur. So that's Sam.
I think it's highly likely.
He's had 0 to 4. It's unlikely. It can happen, but it's unlikely. So luckily, Sam snuck by with brain damage.
He was under 2 minutes.
Yeah. 4 to 6 minutes, brain damage is possible. 6 to 10 minutes, it's likely.
Mm-hmm.
In 10 plus, it's your probable brain death.
Yeah.
You need to get your airway cleared. So what do you do? If someone is choking, but forcibly coughing, encourage them to continue coughing. If they're choked, like I've done it a million times.
If they're coughing, air is coming out.
Right. If you're coughing, just say cough, keep coughing. Like hit them on the, get them to keep coughing. Because hopefully it's enough to clear it.
Right.
If someone can't speak, cough, or breathe, ask them if they're choking. This is what they tell you, like CPR and all these classes. Like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay?
Right.
Are you choking? If they nod their head, yes, like Sam could tell me, yes, it's stuck, like with his head. If they do the universal sign of choking, which is when you put your both hands across your throat, always do that. If you're choking, put your 2 hands across. Someone
Don't go hide in the bathroom where you'll die alone.
Someone in wherever you are is going to know what that sign means. They're going to know you're choking. So if you know someone's choking and they've said yes, they're choking, immediately start abdominal thrusts or the Heimlich. It used to be called the Heimlich maneuver. Now it's called abdominal thrust.
They changed it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think she should still call it the Heimlich.
Everybody knows it. Yeah. So you stand behind the person, and then put one of your legs between both of their legs. And I'll tell you why in a minute. It's for support. So then if they're a child, get down to their level. So kneel behind them. Otherwise, put your arms around the abdomen and find their belly button. Put your fist thumb side against the abdomen, just right above the belly button. And then put your other hand over your fist. Mm-hmm. And then just thrust upward and inward with quick thrusts.
With all of your might.
Yep. Like push.
Because what you're trying to do is you're pushing the diaphragm to make
Expel
the lungs push the air out.
Yeah.
And it'll help to expel whatever's in the esophagus or the trachea.
Right. If the person is pregnant or their abdomen's just too big to get your arms around, put your hands on their chest and give chest thrusts. It's going to do the same thing. You just want to get air up to force that out. Keep doing the Heimlich until the object is expelled or the person becomes unresponsive, which I was sure that's what was happening with Sam. If they become unresponsive, that's what your leg is there for. You're going to guide their body down to the ground so they don't just crash onto you or the ground. And then you're going to begin CPR.
See, now that's when I thought abdominal thrusts came in, because you were supposed to straddle them and keep pushing. No,
if they become unresponsive, you have to start CPR because their heart has now stopped. Because they haven't been breathing for that long. So you lay them down, you get them on their back quickly, because time is of the essence here. Look in their mouth. If you can see something,
you can pull it out.
You can pull it out.
See it.
Do not. We used to be taught years ago, do a blind finger sweep. You never do a blind finger sweep because you could just lodge it in more.
Right.
If you can see it, pull it out. If not, just start CPR. Tilt their head and lift their chin to open the airway. Give 2 rescue breaths, and then you compress their chest about 2 inches deep, 30 times at a rate of 100 beats per minute.
You start singing, "Staying Alive, Staying Alive." Yep. If you ever watch The Office, you'll know. Sing "Staying Alive."
You count out loud. Always count out loud. You got to do 30. 30. You got to count to 30. Then you continue with 2 breaths, 30 compressions until help arrives. Scream like hell if you're alone. Get somebody there. Get somebody to call the ambulance. Get an AED. Get help. You need help because you're going to tire out after 2 minutes. So you need somebody else.
And if you've ever had to do CPR, you do tire out.
If you're doing it right, you're exhausted.
I've woken up the next morning with abs.
Oh, yeah.
Killing me.
My back, my shoulders.
Everything hurt from having to do it.
Yep. If an infant or a very small child is choking, use gravity. Mm-hmm. Support the baby's head. Always. You always have to support a baby's head. So you put them down, like put their head down because you want gravity to help expel that food.
Their face is almost in your hand.
On your hand.
Their chest is resting on your forearm.
If you can sit down, use your leg, put your arm right on your leg. And then you're going to give 5 back slaps right between the shoulder blades.
Right between the screws.
Yep. And then you're going to put your hand, that hand that just did the back slaps, on the back of their head, flip them over to your other forearm, and then you're going to give 5 chest thrusts. With your 2 fingers on your other hand.
Our descriptions are probably not great. It would behoove anybody to go ahead and look online and see how to do this, because you never know
where you're going to be.
You're going to be at a family function, at the movies, wherever, that you're going to have to do this. My husband was at work. Somebody choked in the lunchroom, gave the Heimlich, saved the woman's life. Like you don't know when it's going to happen.
Always take a CPR course. They're free.
Yep.
Or some of them cost a little money. It's worth it. Like, just go to your local YMCA. Go somewhere. Your town hall.
Because so many people freeze in these situations.
They don't.
You could save a life.
Yep. So when you're doing the 5 back thrusts, you just use the palm of your hand right between the shoulder blades. Keep their head down and then flip them over. Still keep their head down and put your 2 fingers right on the breastbone, just below the nipple line, and give 5 chest thrusts. And then you're just going to
visuals Laura's doing. It's
I know. I'm doing it in my hand.
She just did 5 chest thrusts in her palm.
If you can hear me, I'm doing back thrusts.
Between those screws.
And just keep doing it until it comes out or they become unresponsive.
Or
and then you
shows up and somebody else takes over.
Hope God willing. And then you're going to start CPR if they become unresponsive as well. If someone is choking, always call 911 right away. You need hands.
You want people there.
You need hands on. Like, you have to have people there. If you're alone and stop choking, Make a scene to try to draw attention. I always tell my kids, like, if you're home alone, don't eat. I tell them that, but I know they're going to eat because they sneak food constantly. I tell them, run into the street. I don't care. You need to get help. You can't stay in this house by yourself.
I've heard of people using the back of chairs.
Well, so I'm going to get into that, but always try to get attention because, again, if you find someone choking, you need help.
Right.
If you're by yourself, you still need help. Like, you always need help. So try to get someone's attention. Make a fist, place it above your belly button, grab your other fist with your other hand, and press quickly inward and upward. So give yourself the Heimlich. Do it hard. Like, you can't, like, it has to hurt. You have to get it up. You can lean against a table, a chair, a railing, and thrust your upper abdomen against the edge.
I've heard of a friend who she was choking on a pill, and that's what she did.
Yeah, so I teach CPR, and someone in one of the classes was saying, I forget, her brother or somebody was choking on something. You know, he was eating something in the kitchen. He was home. He was choking on something. He took the fridge door and just kept ramming it into his upper abdomen, and it came out.
The fridge door?
Yes, you know, like the corner of the fridge door.
Never
he
thought
just
of that.
kept
Never
swinging
thought
it
of
into
that.
his abdomen.
Yep.
But you can also do that, like, hard enough.
Yep.
You know, like, you can swing it into yourself hard enough. But again, if you're doing that and it's not coming up, you can't wait too long.
No.
Because you're going to pass out.
You're going to pass out and then you're dead.
You have to get outside, or you have to get somebody's attention.
Yeah, somebody's going to come home and find you dead if they don't do it soon.
So prevention of choking is cut food into small pieces. Sit calmly while eating. Now, this is something I don't do because I stand up. I'm washing the dishes. I'm eating. I'm doing this.
I'm eating over the sink half the time. Get your homework done. Get that done. Yeah.
I never sit down. I don't know how I haven't choked to death yet. My husband, like, he's pointing to himself. Literally, he'll be doing something. Then he comes in. He's like, I have to eat. And I'm like, okay. He makes himself lunch. He sits down
out
at
the
table.
placemat, the china,
a
water
napkin.
fit. Crystal
I'm like,
comes out.
Can you not eat and do something at the same time? Why do you have to sit and eat? But apparently,
You gotta have the crystal and the silver.
My God. He sits down for
napkin in the shirt.
Meal. Yeah. Have plenty of fluids while you're eating. So if something feels like that didn't go down right, get a drink. Start drinking.
You know you're gonna have dry food, rice, turkey, chicken, stuffing.
Right.
You wanna make sure.
Right. And chew carefully and slowly. Also something I do not do.
I'm talking half the time I'm doing. You know.
Don't talk while you eat.
I do it all the time.
My mother chokes literally on water. My mother chokes constantly chokes. But then she'll sit there and eat and talk to you. I'm like, stop talking to me while you're eating because you're just choking.
Chew slowly. Cut it in bits.
Stop talking. God love her. My uncle once, it was a holiday party. So it was between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we were at my mother's and she had she always had a spiral ham and like a turkey breast.
God, I love spiral ham.
And he has like an atypical Parkinson's disease. So he has trouble with his muscles in control. Anyways, he's sitting there eating next to me. And he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's a big dude and just big. And he's eating. And he lived with us for a while. So I knew his eating habits. And I hear him eat and then I hear nothing. And I look at him. And he's just sitting there staring at the plate. And I said, are you choking? And he looks at me and does it. And I'm like, he's choking. I'm like, stand up. And he does stand up. But he has this atypical Parkinson's. So it's not very quick. Right. He does stand up, and I go to give him, I'm 5'5", and I'm not huge. So I'm behind him. I can't even get my arms around, like, his chest, because it's way up by my face. And luckily, my brother-in-law was there, and I was like, you need to come here and do the Heim. I mean, I could do a little, but I couldn't do it enough.
He's never coming to another fucking function at your house.
And I'm like, get over here. He needs the Heimlich, so he's doing it because he's really tall and big. So he did it and got the food up. But I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what it is with my family and choking. I am petrified.
I swear to God, Laura. I mean, you just friggin' serve them oatmeal every
meal. It's awful. It's every time you eat anything, you're praying to God no one chokes.
Oh my
it's
God.
Terrible over here. Anyways.
Family trait.
Apparently. So I did find a story about a woman saving a baby from choking on Thanksgiving.
Oh, something to be thankful for.
So this happened in North Carolina.
Well, they're having like sweet potatoes with marshmallow on top and that green bean casserole.
This Hannah Jarvis and her 7-month-old daughter, Callie, were celebrating Thanksgiving at the Golden Corral restaurant.
She's 7 months old. What is she going to fucking eat?
the baby was eating mashed potatoes. It's also that like thick, yes, like you eat too much, you can't swallow it down, you choke on it. So she starts choking on these mashed potatoes. Another woman, Deborah Rouse, was there. Just happened to be in the restaurant eating her dinner as well.
It's a big place to go on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, apparently. She notices that this baby is choking. She gets up. She starts the Heimlich. She gives back blows on the baby. Baby starts breathing again. Mashed potatoes come out. Everything's fine.
Mashed potatoes would be hard to clear.
I know. But she gave enough back blows that those suckers came out. And she said, I'll never forget the many tears that were shed today in a Golden Corral as this angel stepped in. Jarvis wrote on her Facebook page about Rouse. The little girl was later treated at the emergency room and she was fine. The woman and the mother connected on Facebook. They shared pictures of them. They took pictures together. They all met up like the next day. And the mother wrote, I'm so thankful for God. No, the woman who saved her wrote, I'm so thankful to God for having me in the right place at the right time. God, you are worthy, is what Rose wrote on her photo. And there's a picture of the woman and the baby.
Aww,
we'll post it, but she saved her life.
We'll put the picture up on Facebook.
And she obviously had training and
I'm telling you,
choking.
It is worth it.
Just do it.
You never know.
You never know
when
you have to
eating
help
all
somebody.
the time. You never know when that's going to come in handy.
It's even knowing what to do.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. So
I'm telling you,
learn
I
what to do.
hate those calls. I would show up to anything, but they'd be like, "We have a choking," and I would be shitting myself the whole way there. And thank God, I mean, I maybe had 4 or 5 in the 2 years I was in EMT, and the fire department. God bless you guys. You always were there first, and got it taken care of before we ever showed up.
Yep.
Because it was.
It's so terrifying.
It's terrifying because if you don't fix it, they die.
Yeah.
That's like it's they're gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, cardiac arrest, they're already dead. You try.
Their heart's already stopped.
But choking, you're watching.
They're alert and aware.
You're watching them die in front of you.
Yeah, it's awful, and they know it. Like I don't know. It's choking is terrifying to me.
It is terrifying.
Yeah. So please go learn CPR. Please go learn the Heimlich.
Take it with you to your Thanksgiving celebrations.
Yeah. Go take a course.
Yep.
Look online. There's tons of heart saver courses and all that. Please learn it.
And it's quite a feeling when you could save somebody's life.
Yes.
Over something silly.
Yeah.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Chew carefully.
Thanksgiving on that.
Have a drink available.
Don't get any rodent Hantaviruses and make sure you're not choking on the bones of those rodents.
Yes,
Or, you know. So again, we love your stories. I love my emails. You don't even know the joy they bring to me when I read them. So can you keep them coming? We've had quite a few coming in, and I appreciate it. And we're getting ready for the Christmas season.
I can't believe that.
Write them in. See what you got. Give us some ideas.
Yeah.
We got some fun stuff planned for Christmas.
I think so.
I think it's some fun stuff. Yeah. It won't be the 10 top
No, the toys.
crazy toys. That's one of my favorite episodes.
That was fun.
I love the toy episode. It made me laugh.
That was fun.
So yeah, and definitely, put a little reviews for us on your wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give us a little rate and review. And we will check you out in December.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsnscrubs@gmail.com.